Hello, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to yet another Wednesday. Give me one sec. Yet another Wednesday meditation class. I am Keith. I am your meditation teacher here today on this channel. And if you are new, which we always have a couple of new people, which is amazing. Don't worry. I know, you're looking at this and there's a topic for today, and I don't really know even what meditation is in general. Don't worry. We always start each class with an introduction to what is meditation, how does it work, why does it work, all that good stuff. So if you are brand new, this is a perfect class to jump right in. Right? And the cadence for today, and pretty much all of our classes, is we always start, like I said, with an introduction, and we'll do a little breathing meditation together to get everyone kind of like a baseline of how meditation works. We'll be like, oh, okay, that's how it works. And then we're going to dive into a topic. There is a lot you can do with meditation. Sometimes we may think it's just about relaxation. Relaxation is a huge component of meditation. It's one of the main reasons people get into it, but it's not the only benefit from meditation. So I like to spread it around a little bit. Look at different topics, different things that we can do with meditation, because everyone's here for a different reason. And one of these might connect with you. So the topic for today is a personal struggle for me, and that is a procrastination. It is something, I really have struggled with a very long time, continue to. I know it's something that a lot of people struggle with. So we're going to look at procrastination through the lens of meditation and how we can use meditation to maybe understand a little bit more about what's going on in our mind when we are procrastinating or having those feelings. Melissa, I'm glad you're here too. Okay, so the last bit of housekeeping is, if you have any questions at any time, I do encourage you to ask them. Best way is to ask them via the chat. You can see some people chatting now. Take advantage of the fact that this is live. Don't wait for me to say this is question time. You can just ask whenever, and I'll stop what I'm doing and get to your question as soon as I can. Important to ask these things because everyone experiences meditation differently, and maybe I'm using an analogy that isn't connecting with you, and maybe you'd like me to rephrase it. So whatever your question is, feel free to chat it at any time. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, I'll give my email out too. You can always email me personally any questions that you have. Cool? Okay. So let's get started, and we'll start with the golden question. What is meditation? Right? We hear that word and something comes to mind. What is that thing that comes to mind? Sitting cross-legged on the floor, looking like this. Looking all relaxed and stuff. I like to say that if you did a Google search for meditation, the images that would come up would be quite similar, and that can lead us to believe that the only way to meditate is sitting cross-legged on the floor with our eyes closed. This is a form of meditation. It is a way to meditate, but it is not the only way to meditate, right? It's not the definition of meditation. What meditation is a technique that you use to train your mind to become familiar with something. It's a weird definition. We don't really think about familiarizing our mind, but if we take a moment and just think about it, we're familiarizing our mind with stuff all day long. All right. Think about all the things you're super familiar with now that weren't the case last week, that weren't the case 2 years ago, right? So this concept of familiarity is integral to meditation, and for our purposes, you can almost kind of think of those as synonyms, right? Meditation is familiarization, Right? So why is this important? Why is this concept of familiarization so important? You think about like tying your shoe as an example I like to use, because it's something that you're very good at right now. You've been doing it a long time. You can tie your shoe with your eyes closed in the dark, doesn't matter. You could say that tying your shoe comes pretty naturally to you, right? You'd be like, it's easy. But that wasn't always the case, right? Back when you were a kid, you didn't even first of all, you didn't even understand that there was a shoelace. And then when somebody said that you have to make this into a bow, you're like, how? So the path of you becoming an expert shoelace tire, right, didn't just happen overnight, right? It happened through effort, practice, repetition, all of these things contributing to the level of familiarity you have with this action, tying your shoe, right? And through practice, a little bit each day, you get it. You're starting to perfect the loops and all that. What is the end result? The end result is that tying your shoe is something you can now do without a lot of effort, right? You don't have to put a lot of focus into tying your shoe. Whereas when you're a kid, yeah, you'd really focus. So this is like the gift of our mind, of our human mind. The ability to learn, the ability to familiarize ourselves with things. It's kind of like our superpower, right? We can become so familiar with things that they start to arise without us really trying, right? So whatever it is that you are familiar with this time in your life, your job, your language, like all these things, they come naturally through familiarity. Right? And the same is true for mental familiarity, which is what we really like to focus on here with meditation. Things like patience, for example, right? Patience is something that we have to try pretty hard to have right now. You know, I mean, something happens and it's not something we like. It's not very challenging for us to get annoyed. We can get annoyed very easily without effort, but then we have to put effort into being patient, right? So there's this balance of these are called like opposing forces. Patience and frustration are like opposing forces. And right now our mind has just had more practice getting frustrated than it has being patient. So naturally, our mind does what our mind is familiar with, and so it gets frustrated easily, and it takes effort to be patient. Right? The same is true with relaxation. So if we're to get back to kind of the core reason a lot of people start meditation is for learning how to be less stressed, more relaxed. Meditation is not relaxing you. Meditation is teaching you to become familiar with relaxed you, this version of you that is in there. I know it's in there. You want it to come out more. I want mine to come out more too. But it's in there, this version of you that is very, calm, cool, thinking objectively about your problems, right? That version of you exists always. And meditation is a way for you to become so familiar with it that it starts to show up without you having to try as hard. Right? So that's kind of our goal here with meditation, is to choose. It's really about choice. Choose what you want your mind to be familiar with. What are the things you want to come naturally to you? And then we're going to work towards that goal. Right? I always like to say too, because I think it's a good kind of contrast to this is something like anxiety, right? Like I got into meditation for clinical anxiety, and anxiety is something that like you become so familiar with these things, like a phobia or something like that, so familiar with this connection of this equals bad, this equals scary, that your mind goes there instantaneously. It's all based in familiarity. So the things that you can do with meditation are pretty endless. But it all starts with understanding how we go about what's called pacifying our mind, right? So if you've ever tried breathing meditation, right, this is a form of pacifying your mind. So we're going to start by doing that. That way everyone kind of gets a sense of how we go about engaging in the practice of meditation. If you want to throw a fancy phrase out at a party or something like that, I don't know why you would do that. This is more formally called single-pointed concentration, which is kind of exactly what it sounds like. We're focusing on one thing. So what are we not doing? Multitasking. Now, we're super familiar with multitasking. We do it all day long. Even when you think you're not multitasking, you are. I just took a sip of water while thinking about what I was going to say next. I'm multitasking. So when we meditate, meditation is a single-pointed focus on something, right, for the purpose of becoming really familiar with it. We're not multitasking. We're going to focus so exclusively on one thing, in this case our breath, that all the other things that are pulling for our attention, right? Think about this thing for work. Remember that thing somebody said to you, right? All those things that are bouncing around in your head all day long, they're going to start to fade away into the background a little bit. We don't usually associate concentration with feeling relaxed, but if we think about like flow state, or if you're an athlete, running or working out or whatever, sometimes we can become so focused on something that it's almost like all these other things just kind of pass away, right? So we're going to learn how to start to do this intentionally, and we are going to use our breathing meditation for good reason. Your breath is always with you. You don't need special conditions. You don't need to go to that beautiful lake you live 20 minutes by to feel relaxed. All you need is your breath and a little bit of practice, and you can learn how to start to become really familiar with patience, relaxation, the relaxed you. Right? That's the main takeaway. It's in there. We don't have to create it. We just have to become familiar with it. Cool? So we're going to do a little breathing meditation together. And you might, if you Googled meditation, they're all sitting on the floor and stuff. You don't have to do that. There's no perfect seating arrangement. It's not like if you sit on the floor at work, and if you sit in a chair, it won't. You can lay down, do whatever you want. The only thing I'll say is make sure you're relatively comfortable. But if you're super sleepy right now, you had a really long day, maybe you want to sit up in your chair so you're not falling asleep immediately. But there's no particular seating arrangement. Just whatever's comfortable for you is perfect. And you can go ahead and close your eyes. I'm going to guide us through about a 5-minute breathing meditation. Okay. Whenever we start a meditation, first things first, take a moment and check in with yourself. Ask yourself, how am I feeling right now, in this exact moment? Maybe you're happy. Maybe you're upset. Maybe you're energetic. Or maybe you're feeling a bit lethargic from the day. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. We're not doing anything about it. We're just practicing noticing. This is a key step, a key training in meditation. It's called mindfulness, an active awareness of your own thoughts moment to moment, for the purpose of being able to respond in a skillful manner to those thoughts. Just take a moment and check in. Having done that, you can now make a choice. you can choose to focus single-pointedly on your breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Very gently, very naturally. You do not need to take big, deep breaths or forcefully exhale air. However you breathe normally, that's what I want you to do. In and out. And allow yourself to relax a little bit into your chair or cushion. Breathing meditation has 3 steps. The first is we make an active choice to focus on our breath. Next, we're going to pay attention whenever our mind drifts a bit, starts to think about something we have to do later, something that happened earlier today, whatever it is, whenever we notice that. Just going to say not right now to those thoughts. We'll get to those thoughts later. And then the third step, guiding your attention back to your breath. That's it. Breathing in, breathing out. Very gently and very naturally. Single-pointedly focused on the air, following its journey as it enters your nose and exits over and over again. And we can do a little check on ourselves. Is our mind still focused on our breath? If it's drifted, no big deal. We can just say not right now to those thoughts. We'll get to them later. And then bring your attention, your full, undivided, single-pointed concentration back to breathing in and breathing out. Very gently and very naturally. Can you stay plugged in to your breath, moment to moment? This moment, this moment, this moment. Visualize the air moving into your body every time you breathe in. Feel your lungs filling up with energy and life. And then follow that air as it exits back into the atmosphere. A moment-to-moment fascination, interest in breathing in and out, gently, naturally. as you begin to relax a little bit more into your chair or cushion. And keep bringing your attention back to your breath whenever you catch it drifting. This process of choosing to focus single-pointedly on your breath, noticing when your attention drifts a bit, being able to bring your attention back to breathing. Those 3 steps, that is meditation. You are meditating right now. You are training your mind to be relaxed, to access its natural, peaceful state. You are training your mind to focus on what you want to focus on. Choice. And right now, the only thing you want to focus on is breathing in and breathing out very gently and very naturally. So for the last few moments, continue to breathe and just enjoy sitting here relaxing with your breath. That's your only job. Okay, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Hello. So, this is a pretty standard breathing meditation, and I usually talk about the 3 steps before we do it, but I forgot. So I tried to add it in there. So meditation is really, any type of meditation is really 3 steps, right? We're choosing to focus single-pointedly on something. In this case, it was our breath, right? Step 2. While we're focusing single-pointedly on that thing, we may notice that our mind chooses not to do that at some point. It starts to think about other things, work, what we have to cook for dinner, what, some noises or something that are happening, something that happened in the past, right? That's coming up. Whenever we encounter our mind drifting in this way, I like to say, not right now, right? Which is, I think, important, because we're not saying that these thoughts are bad, wrong, unimportant. We're just saying not right now, right? Our mind is just doing whatever it wants, sort of like an untrained pet. And we got to be like, no. Right now we're doing the whole focus on our breath thing. And then we're going to bring our attention back. You might only be able to keep your attention on your breath for, a couple seconds. That's totally fine. The goal of meditation is not to never get distracted. The goal of meditation is to begin to become more aware of when you are distracted from the thing you're trying to focus on, and being able to put that aside and come back, right? And that practice, choosing to focus on something single-pointedly, noticing when your attention drifts, bringing it back, over time, this is going to become more natural to you, become more familiar with it. Right now, we're not familiar with this. We don't do this ever, right? We just let our mind go 100 miles an hour all the time, right? So, if you were like, hey, that was kind of tough, it's something new, right? It's I know we like to be the best at all these things, but when we're trying something new, we have to be patient, because it's going to take some time to make it familiar. Or maybe you had the experience where you're like, hey, that wasn't as bad as I thought. I thought meditation, you had to be on a retreat for and 2 days or something like that. No, you don't need to meditate that long. In fact, the most important thing is meditating consistently, not length. Don't worry about, like, you got 30 seconds in the morning. Cool. Perfect. That's better. Doing 30 seconds every day is better than 2 hours once a month. So I encourage you to kind of be honest with yourself about what you can commit to and give it a shot, right? So that's kind of like a basic intro to meditation. If you have any questions on that or breathing meditation or anything we talked about, feel free to ask me. I'm going to move on to our topic for this week, which something near and dear to me, as it is something I struggle with quite a lot, and that is procrastination. And I don't think I'm alone there. It is definitely a common battle that we have, right? So procrastination is part of this kind of, like, I like to call it like a cycle of a lack of motivation. It's one of the cogs in this kind of wheel, right? And it's the biggest one. So if we think about this kind of wheel of being unmotivated, there's three main cogs that I like to think about. Procrastination, which we're going to talk about today, which kind of leads into disinterest, right? I don't want to do that. This is getting in the way of my other things that I like, right? And then discouragement. Why do I keep putting things off? Why can't I know this is important. Like, why can't I just do it, right? And then when we're discouraged, what happens there? We procrastinate, right? So this is this kind of cycle. And we'll see if you guys enjoy this class. Maybe we can talk about some of the other, kind of cogs in this wheel. But procrastination is kind of the catalyst for these things, I think. And the way that I like to define procrastination is, I know this is important, but now is not the right time. I know this is important, but now is not the right time. Right? So it's not that we're putting something off that we have no interest in, or I mean, if we really don't see value in something, we don't want to do it. But procrastinating in, like, the sense of a goal, right? Maybe we're working towards a goal. We know this thing's important to us, but we're making excuses as to why this is not the right time. So we have to think, is this actually not the right time, right? I seldom procrastinate. I prefer to finish tasks and get it over with. Oh, well, there's a whole other bag of tricks in there too. There's a lot of, maybe you're using that as motivation to be able to kind of go and do the things that you actually want to do. Cool, right? But what about what if you want to write a book or something like that? Okay? Just sit down and write the whole book right there. It takes some time, right? But then we can get through writer's block. We can start to feel like we're not good, right? We eventually will be somewhere in this wheel, right? And again, maybe you don't have problems with procrastination, right? But I think some of the things we're going to talk about today they transcend procrastination, and can be really interesting to think about in general. So now is not the right time is kind of the main thing of procrastination, right? In terms of using meditation, understanding what our mind is doing when we're procrastinating, right? So I use the example of writing a book, right? We have some time on the weekend, right? Writing a book is something we really want to do, and we're like, I don't know, I'm going to watch the show instead, right? So we're kind of putting it off a little bit, right? Not the end of the world, but it's something that over time can compound, right? So now is not the right time is the problem. So we have to think, why isn't this the right time? Usually it's, I'm too tired, right? Or I don't have enough time to commit to this. I don't have enough, financial security to do this, right? There's a lot of things that we think about when we're kind of weighing if we should do something or not, right? And in all of these instances, there's one really important assumption that we are making, and it's the basis of what we're gonna talk about and what we're gonna meditate on coming up. Barbara, thank you so much for the sub. I really appreciate that. Thank you. This assumption is that we will have the opportunity to do this later, right? When we put something off, we're like, now's not the right time. There is a built-in assumption that we will have the time to do this later, right? I'll do it tomorrow, right? So will we have the opportunity to do this later is something that we need to ask ourselves. Now, this topic, procrastination, can be something people don't like to talk about or think about because it deals with a pretty heavy topic, impermanence, right? Uncertainty. These are all things that are kind of wrapped up in procrastination, the things that we don't really like to think about. But doesn't mean it's any less important, right? So the assumption is that we'll have the opportunity to do this later. But if we think about it, if we are completely honest with ourselves, right, we can't say with certainty that that's true. That's just reality because life is uncertain, and we see it all the time, right? So that's kind of like the interesting dilemma we have with procrastination, right? We're battling this idea of now's not the right time, and that is butting up against the fact that, well, we're not really guaranteed to be able to do this later. So, like, is this the best time to do it? Is there an interesting mental dynamic that we're going through, right? And so there's two things that we can do with regards to meditation, regards to just kind of contemplation. With contemplation is just kind of like meditating on a thought. Tomorrow is not promised. There you go. I mean, it's not guaranteed. And like, I know we're sitting there and we're like, well, you know, the chances, pretty good chances that I'll have the opportunity to do it tomorrow. But it's not certain, right? So this is, we're trying to operate under certainty. We love certainty. Humans love certainty. We look for it all the time, right? And so, yeah, the tomorrow is not promised kind of mantra is right on, is hitting the nail on the head here, right? So there's two main things that I found to be really helpful to think about to kind of start to chip away at this armor of procrastination. And it kind of is like armor. The more we've done it, the more we've become used to it, right? We're like, I'll do it tomorrow. And guess what? Yeah, tomorrow comes, we do it. You know, so it's like not a big deal. We'll put it off. We start to get used to doing this. Right? So we're trying to chip away at the armor just a little bit. So the first one that we're going to think about, it's like a question we're going to think about. Right? Now is not the right time, right? Implies that we're going to have a better opportunity to do this, right? Now's not the best time to do it. Surely at a later stage, it'll be the best time, right? So part of this is thinking about, well, is the opportunity to do it right now actually really good? And we're not really thinking about that, right? So thinking about our current conditions, right? So let's just imagine we want to write a book, yeah. And we might think that our conditions aren't that great to start to do that, but we're living in an age with technology. We can research things at lightning speed, right? Via the internet. We are human, which is kind of a weird thing to think about, but there's animals out there that really can't write a book at all. They can't even have the thought to write a book. So that's a really cool opportunity that we have. We're alive, we're human. We live in an age with technology. We're in relatively good health, right? You're here right now. You're watching this. You're you're taking in the information that I'm talking about, right? Like, you're as young as you'll ever be. There's a lot of interesting things that we can think about with regards to our current conditions that might illuminate that they are actually better conditions than we thought, right? And this is a good thing to kind of think about once in a while, right? So you can even do this in a meditation, right? We can just think about, like, it's almost kind of thinking about, man, what am I grateful for, right? I'm grateful for my health, for having a mind that can learn things, like all these wonderful things. We have a great opportunity, right? So recognizing that you have a great opportunity now is important, right? Maybe your conditions will be better later. I have no idea, but you don't know that. But right now, it's pretty decent, right? You're in pretty good conditions, right? So that's the first step. We're recognizing that we have a pretty good opportunity right now. And then the second is, we don't know how long this opportunity will last. And that goes back to the kind of tomorrow is not promised thing, right? Procrastination assumes that we'll be around later to accomplish this goal. It assumes that our conditions will be better, right? But we cannot say with certainty that is true, right? We're kind of thinking about the future. Oh, in this future state, I will have even better and a better opportunity to do that. But the future, where does it live? Where is it? It's in your mind, right? It hasn't happened yet, right? And so this starts to tackle on a very large topic, which we're not going to get into today. But impermanence, we have talked about this on this channel before. And quickly, definition of impermanence is the way things are now are not the way things will be later, right? And it ties into uncertainty, right? And we don't have to really look far to see this. You turn on the news, right? Things happen all the time. Unpredictable things are constantly happening with, whether it's a storm, natural disaster, or like we break our foot and then we can't train if we're training for a race. Like, these things happen, right? And so the idea of thinking about these things, like thinking about this truth that we can't say with certainty that we'll have this great opportunity to do these things we want to do later, isn't to bum us out and like make us feel bad and like, oh man, like, think about our lifespan or whatever, right? But it's to motivate us. It's to allow you to start to see that and start to familiarize yourself with this idea that I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but I do know I'm here right now. I do know I have pretty good conditions. And if this thing's important to me, let's do it, right? Let's do it. Now is the only guarantee, is kind of our thing here, right? Now is our only guarantee, right? What if you could wake up each morning like really thinking about that, right? Today's my only guarantee, right? Think of all the cool things that might come from that, right? Not only what might we do some, work towards some of our goals, but maybe we're not bothered by some of the little micro stressors that are happening, right? This ties into being like living in the present moment, and someone who is very present moment focused naturally has less of a problem procrastinating, right? So these two things I found to be really helpful, and we're going to meditate on them now. And this is, we're going to call this meditation, but it could also be called contemplation. Basically, contemplation is just thinking. Meditation is kind of just thinking. But what we're going to do is we are going to kind of run this logic through our mind as we're sitting there quietly, and you'll just follow along with what I'm saying. And we're going to think about, do we have a pretty good setup right now, pretty good opportunity? And can we say that we know how long this opportunity will last, right? We're going to kind of reinforce these things through meditation. Cool? All right. Now, last thing I'll say is this is not easy. Like, don't expect that we're just going to never procrastinate again. You know? But these are the types of things that we start to familiarize our mind with stuff, right? At first, maybe we're like, I don't want to work on my book. No, I don't know, I'll do it later, right? And then in our meditation, maybe your meditation for the day, you think about the stuff we're talking about, and it's going to become so familiar to you that the next time that thought pops up, I'll do it later. Be like, oh, you know what? Maybe now is a good time. All right? So it's a slow burn. I always like to say meditation is a really slow burn. And this is definitely a pretty deep topic, but I think it's really a cool one to think about. All right. So we're going to do another meditation right now. It'll start pretty much the same way. And by starting the same way, the first step is to get comfy. So make sure that you're in your favorite chair, or if you enjoy sitting on the floor cross-legged, go ahead. Or if you're laying down, you're like, Keith, you've been talking too much today. I'd like to lay down. Go right ahead. And you can go ahead and close your eyes, and I'm going to guide us through another short meditation. Okay. Once again, let's just take a moment and check in. Ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? Whatever that feeling is, totally fine. You don't need to act on it. We're just noticing. And having checked in, you can once again turn your attention to your breath, breathing in and out gently and naturally. Following each breath, the air as it travels from the atmosphere into your body, and then out of your body back into the atmosphere. Single-pointedly focused on breathing in and breathing out. At some point, you may notice your attention drifting, thinking about something that happened earlier today or something you have to do later. Whenever you notice that happening, we can just very gently say, not right now, to those thoughts, and then guide your attention back to breathing. Doesn't matter how many times you need to do this. This is the act of meditating. We're practicing, focusing our attention on our breath. Breathing in and breathing out very gently and very naturally. Keep bringing your attention back whenever it drifts. Breathing in
Breathing out gently and naturally as you relax into your seat or cushion. Sink in. Having spent a little time relaxing our mind, pacifying our thoughts with breathing meditation, we're now going to do a short exercise in contemplation, thinking about the idea of procrastination, thinking about if now is the right opportunity to do things. So you can just follow along and relax. I would like you to bring to mind something that is important to you, but maybe you tend to put off once in a while. It could be something large, a long-term goal, or it could be something small. Doesn't matter. Whatever pops into your mind as something important to you that you might have been putting off, just think about it. Use your imagination to bring it to the forefront of your thought. And with this thing we've been putting off, I'd like you to think about some of the things that you have said to yourself when putting it off. I'm too tired. Have you ever said that? Implying that you'll have more energy later. Or, I don't really feel like it. Implying that you'll have more interest later. Or maybe I don't have enough time to do this. Implying that you'll have more free time later. The common theme is the assumption that the opportunity to accomplish this goal will exist later. Ask yourself, can you say with 100% certainty that that is true? That you will have the opportunity to do this later? Is the future certain? Or is it unpredictable? Based on the future and the present, which seems like the biggest guarantee? Now or later? Life is uncertain. Our opportunities are uncertain. The future exists in our mind right now and nowhere else. The only guarantee we have is this moment. This moment. This moment. Is that true? And ask yourself again. So is now the right time to act? And then finally, I'd like you to just take a moment and think about how your life, how your day, your general mindset, how it might be different if, without any effort, you woke up each morning knowing this, knowing deep down that today is the best opportunity to do the things you want to do. How might that impact your life? Okay, when you're ready, you can open your eyes and relax.
Hello again. So, that is what I would consider to be more of a contemplation, right? We're single pointedly focused on an idea, right, or a thought, which is that's what contemplation is. But it's the same thing as meditation. We're focusing on one thing, and whenever we notice our mind kind of drifting, we're like, not right now. Hey, mind, I'm focusing on thinking about this stuff about procrastination that Keith's been talking about. I'm going to go back to doing that. Okay, cool. Right? So, regardless of, if we're thinking about a concept or focusing on our breath or counting can be a way to meditate, like brushing your teeth can be a way to meditate if you focus on it single pointedly, right? All these things count as meditation. They all work towards our end goal of starting to train our mind to become familiar in things. And even though we kind of just went over this verbally and then we did a meditation on it, sometimes thinking about this in meditation can reveal some different thoughts about this, right? That's your time to think about this. And it's your time to say, do I agree with this? Do I not? Like, is tomorrow actually a guarantee for me, right? There's no right answer. This is a self-exploration. And then from that self-exploration, you can start to draw some interesting resolutions from it. Okay? So this was definitely a little bit of a deep topic today, and I appreciate you, sticking with it. It is something that the longer I meditate, like the more years that go by, right? I start to find these things to be really important to think about, right? Beyond just de-stressing. So hopefully you found it to be thought-provoking or interesting or relaxing or one of those cool things. If so, that makes me happy. So that is our class for today. If you did have a good time, a good experience, come on back next week. We're going to talk about something else. I don't have Patricia. This was a little bit harder. Yeah, this is a hard one. We don't like thinking about it. It's a very tough one. But the things sometimes when we're like, you know what, that was kind of tough. That's good. Like that's a little spark that goes off in our mind. Like, hey, maybe this is something that I have to think about, right? So, I congratulations for thinking about it, right? That's really the first big step, right? Thanks, Janice. Appreciate that. Thanks, Corinne. So come on back next week. We'll do a different topic on meditation. Thank you for everyone who has subscribed. Barbara, thank you again. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, and you would like to, it's a simple click, costs nothing, and then all my old videos are available for you. And you get reminders of when I'm going live on meditation. So when you forget, you're like, oh, it's meditation time. I gotta go hang out with Keith, right? So if you choose to subscribe, that's awesome, and I thank you in advance. If you're like, hey, I love doing meditation, and I really want to see what my where this can take me, I do one-on-one classes. They're a great opportunity for you and I to focus very specifically on something. Maybe you're here for anxiety. That's how I got into meditation. We can focus on anxiety. Maybe procrastination is not the thing you generally struggle with. So the one-on-ones are great for tailoring classes to you. If that is interesting to you, you can email me and we'll find a time. I do it over Zoom. It's very casual. So here is my email, and I will single pointedly concentrate on not making a spelling error. Oh boy, I think I did it. That's my email. If you're interested in doing a one-on-one, you can email me. Got any questions about meditation? Email me. I don't know. Email me anything. Want to say hi? Just email me. There, you have my email. Let me catch up. Brenda, thank you. Andre, thank you. Patricia, thank you. Melissa, Mary, I really appreciate it. Alex, thank you guys for being here. I love teaching, and I couldn't do this without you guys taking time out of your day to be here. So a lot of gratitude from me to you. And I hope that you all have a wonderful week, and I hope that I get to see you all again next Wednesday. All right? Take care.